Okay, guys. So today I'm going to add texture, and I'm going to do some reduction carving on my project for Ceramics 1. I've already started some of my textures on my tree. I've done some of my little flowers. If you use a pencil or something along those lines, you can get tiny little dots and whatnot, which works really, really well to get teeny tiny fine details. I actually have a mechanical pencil here. This will work pretty good on that. So like in here, I have twisted around so I can actually see what I'm doing. You can come through and create your little tiny details here but make sure the lead stays really small. If you want, I just want to give it some texture. Okay. So I'm basically just poking little holes. I've already done the vast majority of them, okay? But take your time, all right? And it's good to twist your project around so you can see multiple different angles, because you're gonna find that you usually missed something that you just didn't realize was there, okay? So I've got my little flowers on my tree here. I've got my bark started. My bark, you can just use anything that will give you a texture, and a nice little mechanical pencil actually does that. I'm just going to create tiny little squigglies, just to give it some, and then you see all that extra debris that's hanging there. All you do is you brush it off with your finger. Just make sure that you're careful and you don't end up, knocking bits and pieces off, okay? All right, so I will do that later. Now I have my my grass here that I'm going to work on, and I'm going to put on some. I'm going to carve in some legs and stuff too. So I find that a pen cap, if you haven't gone out and bought, some tools, these work really well. Okay, not everybody has the ability to go out and buy tools, but a pen cap actually works really, really well for carving. Okay. I'm going to come through and I'm going to carve away bits. Now, granted, guys, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but you know what? It'll work just fine. But you do have to take your time. You've got to work at it. It's a process. It's definitely not something that's going to be done immediately. I think I'm going to add a couple of additional. See, I've got a small one right here. I'm going to add a couple additional ones right here too. So I'm going to put these right here. Okay, so I'm going to build my layers because I want some additional ones. Maybe I'll put another one over in here too, but it's a little bit further behind. So you can actually get lots of layers by adding things in. You just have to take your time and do it, Will look much nicer if you do that. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to work on this. So I'm using my little tool right here, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like in the end, because I don't want my video to be, an hour long. Okay, progress photo I have here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this and if you can actually see it. I have put in, I wish this was a better quality machine here. All right, let me see if I try to get some shadow on it. Can you see the details? You can see that there's I carved in additional elements. It's so blurry. This really is not a very good. And then I put additional grass blades back here. For those of you that are here, you'll be able to see it. Make sure you keep your crumbles off of your table and stuff. Oh, right there. I broke my I did actually break it while I was carving because I wanted to stabilize it. Oh well. I'll have to attach that in a little bit. I should probably put a little wet towel on. So as you're carving, guys, remember, if you've got things that are hanging off, you have to be super careful, because what happens is you end up snapping bits and pieces off, just like I did. That little piece belongs right there. I will just put a little wet paper towel over both pieces to keep them hydrated so I can reattach them, which should be just fine. A little bit of water, a little bit of scraping, a little bit of water, He'll be just fine. Okay, so I've got that done. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do more work in the background. You can use that. I'm going to use this right here to kind of map things out a little bit. Okay, so I'm not sure what all I'm going to do in the background or the sky. I think I'm just going to like glaze that eventually. So, but for now, I'm going to decide how I want my little eyes to be. I think I'm just looking straight on. I think. The wide set eyes. And we'll say when you do this, make sure you are up above so you can actually see, because nothing worse than when you make it look absolutely crazy. Oh, and you can't even see that. That really does stink. Okay, so I'm taking my time, making sure that my eyes are, about the right. If you mess up, just remember your finger in water acts like whiteout. It erases your mess ups, okay? So close enough. I'm going to have my little nose right here. So I'm going to that right here. I don't know how much I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to do mostly the eyes, and I'm going to give it texture. I'm also going to put in little foxy legs. So let's see, one right here. No, he'd be a little chubby that way. Bring him more toward the center. And we've got to come through here because the tail is a little far up. And we'll do a little flip right here. Okay. All right. So now next step, you just have to come through and start working on carving away some of this so it fits the scene a little bit better, because his tail is really far up. So I have to come through, scrape away. See how well that's working? And then trying to carve a little bit of this away too, because I feel like it's a little too fat right there. So I'm going to probably go like that. Come through. See, these little tools work really actually quite well. You don't have, if you didn't go out and get your own ceramic tools. Hold on, I got a phone call. All right, I have another student coming to school to get a little additional help, which is totally good. That's what Wednesdays are for. Well, that and recording videos. All right, so I'm liking how this tail looks a little bit more. And I can still come through and adjust things through here. Just remember, you need to take your time as you're doing it, okay? All right, so, and then come here. And you remember, he's going to have some texture on him, well, because he's a fox, and, fox have fur. So I'm going to make sure that he has, it doesn't matter if he's looks a little weird right now. Okay, this is going to be his little foot right here. Can you see that? Oh my gosh, this is so terrible. I hate these. You really think that it could like zoom in better? Ooh, that's better. That's better, I think. All right, so come through here, click out. And please, if you are struggling getting, the angle right, guys, all you need to do is twist your project around. You can adjust your angle by adjusting the project, okay? All right, so I've showed you how I'm doing this. Now I'm going to stop, not stop. I'm going to continue working, but I'm going to pause the video so it's not, like I said, an hour long. Okay, so an update. Here we go. So I have gone through, I have carved out my little foxy body a little bit. I actually added a couple of little balls of clay right here because while they were, his feet, they just didn't look right. Okay, so I've got my little back feet here. I've got my feet here. I've come through here and added the little white tip for the tail. I've got the little chest area, and then this right here, I carved into the ears. I've added the eyes. I did add texture down here for the grass. I still need to finish the tree here, and I don't think I'll do any textures in the background, just for the mere fact that if you're really thinking about something from a distance, you can't see a blade of grass from like you know, 200 yards. Okay, so I'm going to just keep my textures on the upfront items, and then my middle and my background will just be painted, and that'll be all fine. Okay, so I'm going to continue finishing this, working on some textures on him, and then I will show you my progress again. It just, you know, so for like where is it? Right here. In here, I literally just came through and did this. Okay, I came through and I used this to carve this down more. It's just, it takes so long. I've probably been working on this at least an hour just in these zones right here. It takes time, guys, to make something that looks really good. You know, you have to work on it. I will tell you, I did mess both of this up. I erased that. I started over. I've done a lot of erasing, adding on, because, well, it works out better if you don't just one and done. One and done just never looks all that good. So I'm going to continue working and then I'll start it up again. All right, so I have come through. I've added texture to the face. I've added texture through here. I have texture back here. I have texture on the trunk now. I reattached the piece that I snapped off. I scored it really good. Both little pieces, I added water and I stuck them, hopefully, and I did support it with a tiny little chunk of clay and some paper towel. Hopefully that will actually work. There is much more texture here than what you can actually see with my crummy, this lovely device. But, you know, I did do a lot of carving in certain areas, okay? That is what I want you to do. I want you to create a visually interesting project. So I'm going to say that this is like 95% done. I may come through in the end. I do have some little crumbles and stuff that I do need to brush away, you know, and because I don't want those to stay on, because sometimes they do like adhere themselves. I do also need to do one final thing. I need to really carefully come through and take and write. Oh, which is not good because I just snapped that darn thing off again. Reamer. It should be deep enough to where you can easily see it. I would suggest if you're giving it to someone, make sure that you've got your name on there, the year you created it. Okay, 2021. Okay. And then for me, I need your last name. Your first name, guys, P. Reamer. Okay. Make sure that those crumbles go away because you don't want them to stay. So this needs to be worked on considerably more, but I'm not going to waste my time or your time doing it. Name on there, and then, you know, the 2021 last name, guys. Can't stress that enough. It makes it so hard to grade your stuff when you don't put your name on it. Okay. All right. Now I got to reattach my bit. All right. So this is it. This is your first project. Please. You'll find that the better you do or the harder you work on this one, the better your end projects are. So take your time and make this one amazing, and we'll go from there. All right, have a good one.